Sylvester Stallone is often seen as the ultimate symbol of endurance, the man behind Rocky Balboa and John Rambo, characters who defined cinematic toughness for generations. His on-screen image represents resilience, grit, and the idea that a person can rise no matter how many times life knocks them down. But behind the fame lies a far more complex story of struggle, rejection, and personal tragedy. His journey was not built on instant success, but on decades of pain, survival, and relentless belief in himself when almost no one else did. A difficult beginning, birth, and family struggles. Stallone's life began with immediate hardship. Born in 1946 in New York, complications during his birth led to nerve damage that affected the left side of his face, leaving him with a permanent speech impediment and a distinct facial expression. This condition would later become part of his identity, but, in childhood, made him a target for misunderstanding. His parents' turbulent relationship created an unstable home environment, marked by emotional distance and conflict, leaving young Sylvester to grow up feeling unwanted, misunderstood, and constantly out of place in his own family. Childhood isolation and school rejection. As he entered school, Stallone faced relentless bullying because of his speech and appearance. Other children mocked him, while teachers often misjudged his intelligence due to the way he spoke. He was frequently expelled from schools, not for lack of ability, but because of behavioral issues tied to frustration and anger. These early experiences shaped his identity as an outsider. Instead of support, he found rejection at nearly every turn, pushing him further into isolation and building the emotional foundation for the underdog characters he would later bring to life. Switzerland years and emotional collapse. At 16, his life took another difficult turn when he was sent to Switzerland to attend boarding school. Far from home, struggling with language barriers and loneliness, he entered a deep emotional low. Without close friends or family support, he battled feelings of abandonment and depression. In later reflections, he admitted to moments where he felt completely lost and overwhelmed by hopelessness. Yet even in this period of darkness, a small inner drive refused to disappear, planting the earliest seeds of ambition that would eventually push him toward acting. New York dreams and harsh reality. Returning to the United States, Stallone arrived in New York with very little money and even fewer opportunities. He carried a strong desire to become an actor, despite constant rejection from casting directors who dismissed him because of his appearance and speech. Auditions rarely lasted more than a few moments before he was turned away. The entertainment industry seemed completely closed to him, forcing him to survive in a city that offered no comfort. Still, he refused to abandon his dream, even as failure became a daily experience. Survival mode. Struggles and hard labor. To survive, Stallone took on whatever work he could find. He cleaned animal cages at the Central Park Zoo, worked odd jobs, and often found himself without stable housing. There were periods when he slept in public spaces, struggling just to get through each day. Money was so scarce that he sold personal belongings, including items of emotional value. These years were defined by exhaustion and uncertainty, but they also hardened his determination. Life had reduced him to survival mode, yet it never fully broke his desire to succeed in acting. Rock bottom and personal sacrifices. One of the most painful moments of his life came when financial desperation forced him to sell his dog for a small amount of money. That decision stayed with him deeply, representing just how far he had fallen. Around this time, he also accepted small, low-paying film roles that offered little recognition and even less dignity. Despite these hardships, he continued writing and searching for an opportunity that might change everything. These experiences of loss and humiliation later became emotional fuel for the characters he would create on screen. The birth of Rocky. Inspiration from struggle. Everything changed when Stallone watched a boxing match that deeply inspired him. He saw in the underdog fighter a reflection of his own life. Someone overlooked but unwilling to quit. Driven by this feeling, he wrote the script for Rocky in a short, intense burst of creativity. The story captured the spirit of perseverance, focusing on a small-time boxer given a once-in-a-lifetime chance. For Stallone, it was more than a screenplay. It was a personal expression of every rejection, setback, and struggle he had ever faced. Hollywood rejection and a risky decision. When Rocky reached Hollywood studios, it quickly gained attention, but Stallone faced a difficult demand. Sell the script, but give up the lead role. He was offered significant money, enough to change his life instantly, but producers wanted a more established actor to play the lead. Despite financial pressure and doubt from others, he refused. He believed the story only worked if he played the role himself. Eventually, the studio agreed on a low-budget production, giving him a chance, but also placing his future career at risk. Rocky's success and rise to stardom. Rocky was filmed under tight conditions and released in 1976, quickly becoming a cultural phenomenon. Audiences connected deeply with its message of perseverance, and the film achieved massive success, winning major awards and transforming Stallone into a global star. He followed it with sequels that expanded the character's legacy, while also creating the Rambo franchise, which established him as a dominant force in action cinema. From near obscurity, he had become one of Hollywood's most influential figures, redefining what it meant to be an action hero. Tragedy, legacy, and conclusion. Despite professional success, Stallone's life was marked by personal tragedy, including the heartbreaking loss of his son, a moment that deeply affected him. Fame and fortune could not shield him from grief or emotional pain. Yet he continued working, evolving, and remaining active in the industry for decades. His legacy is not only built on box office success, but on a lifetime of persistence through hardship. Stallone's story stands as a reminder that true strength is not the absence of struggle, but the refusal to surrender to it.